recent photos of Atlas. Finally, it was photographed by NASA's Mars Perseverance. As soon as the photo came out, the entire astronomical circle exploded. Some say they saw an alien spacecraft. Some say this is the fulfillment of ancient prophecies. There are still people start calculating the time when aliens arrive on Earth directly. But the truth may be more bizarre than these speculations. Today, let's take a look at this latest real photo. Let's take a good look at the uninvited guests of this solar system. See what secrets he hides. A few days ago, NASA's Perseverance rover. This one is in the Jezero crater on Mars. A lonely worker. One night with his navigation camera, I took a few pictures of the Martian night sky. It's such a random beat. It took a picture that made netizens all over the world orgasm. A near-perfect luminous columnar object straddled in the Martian sky. There is no tail, no chipping. It is such a well-behaved cylinder. Astronomy enthusiasts exploded in an instant. Many people say, the aliens are finally here. Various p-plots, various analyses, conspiracy theories of all kinds are overwhelming. Some people compare this thing with ancient murals. Thousands of years ago, humans have recorded similar flying objects. Someone began to calculate its route, predict whether it will land on Earth. Some even suggest learning an alien language quickly, so as not to communicate well at that time. NASA scientists watched the discussions. It is estimated that the heart is broken because they know it well. This is another beautiful misunderstanding. The truth. In fact, it is the most common long exposure effect in photography. Perseverance's camera is used to capture faint celestial bodies. Requires a long exposure time. And Atlas during this time moved some distance, so a long trail of light was left on the photo. For example, you use your mobile phone to take a night view. The shutter is open for a few seconds. At this time, a car drove by. A band of light will appear on the photo. In fact, this is the same principle. What's even more amazing, angular resolution of the Perseverance camera. That's about 12,500 kilometers per pixel. You heard it right. This number is so exaggerated. The comet is about 38 million kilometers away from Mars. So the apparent length of the light trail in the photo reached 50,000 kilometers, much larger than the comet itself. This is not the first time a similar oolong has occurred. Last March, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, a huge unidentified object, was also photographed, flying over the moon. It was later confirmed that it was South Korea's lunar probe Seeker, because of the relationship between relative motion and imaging parameters. It looks 10 times larger than it actually is in the photo. So when you see UFO photos, don't be in a hurry to get excited. Most of the time, the photographic effect is ghostly. Okay, I'm done talking about oolong. Let's talk about the real protagonists. Atlas. The name sounds a bit like a robot model at first glance, but it is actually a real interstellar comet. What is an interstellar comet? It is a comet that does not belong to our solar system. It is a tourist from a distant star system. You know, there are only a handful of confirmed interstellar visitors in human history. The first is Oumuamua, discovered in 2017. That makes astronomers all over the world. I couldn't sleep with excitement of cigar-like objects. And how special is Atlas? First, the comet changes color. In recent months, astronomers note Atlas suddenly began to glow bright green. Imagine this. In the background of the vast black universe, a green thing is flying. The picture is indeed quite weird. Generally speaking, the comet emits green light. It is because of their gas cladding that they are in the air, contains a large amount of double carbon molecules. But here comes the problem. Atlas contains almost no dicarbon molecules. So why is it green? Scientists scratched their scalps and didn't fully figure it out. The current speculation is, inside the comet may contain some kind of rare chemical, or when it is close to the sun, when the temperature rises to a certain critical point, something happened inside. Chemical reactions that we don't know about yet. It's like a switch has been flipped. The comet suddenly changed color. Second, he is too big. The diameter of the Atlas core may reach 5 kilometers. 5 kilometers distance, equivalent to a city bus, open for 10 to 15 minutes, or your 1-hour walk. Its quality. It is estimated that it is better than the first interstellar visitor, OMO, 20万 times larger. Oumuamua is only 110 meters in diameter. That's enough to excite scientists. And Atlas estimates tens of billions of tons of mass. It is a real behemoth. NASA is preparing to use the hires on the Mars orbiter, high-resolution camera, to take a closer look at it. If it is confirmed that the diameter is really more than 5 kilometers, then it will be so far the largest interstellar object discovered. This begs an interesting question. Why is he so big? Interstellar objects are usually small pieces of fragments of asteroids, wreckage of comets, and the like the size of Atlas, travel between star systems. It is a very rare thing in itself. How it was formed. How was he kicked out of the original galaxy? Some even began to think in a bolder direction. Could it be that it is not naturally formed at all? Of course, such speculation is not welcome in the scientific community. But you have to admit it. The idea is quite exciting. Third, his reverse tail is really weird. How the tail of a comet is formed. We all learned about comets in school. When approaching the sun, radiation of the sun and solar wind, it will blow away gas and dust from the comet's surface, forms a long tail. The point is, this tail is always in the direction of the sun with its back to it. It's like the wind blowing your hair. Where does the wind come from? The hair flutters in that direction. But what about Atlas? His tail appears to be facing the sun. This is obviously not in line with the laws of physics. So scientists put forward several hypotheses. The first hypothesis is the optical effect. If the dust cloud of a comet, it is mainly composed of nanoscale particles. The scattering and diffraction of light on these particles, strange visuals may occur. Let's mistakenly think that the tail is facing the sun. The second hypothesis is electromagnetic action. Interstellar space is filled with magnetic fields. If a comet erupts, charged particles interact with these magnetic fields, may form a structure different from normal Weiwei. And the last and most daring hypothesis, it is a guess that it is not a comet at all. It was an alien spaceship. This hypothesis is obviously unreliable, but it is especially popular among amateur astronomy enthusiasts. Their brains are like this. This reverse tail is actually some kind of propulsion system, or solar sails used to collect solar energy. Doesn't it sound a bit like science fiction? But there are really science fiction writers who use it as inspiration, wrote stories. The fourth special point. Astronomers analyzed the spectra of the Atlas. Found his ratio of carbon dioxide to water is ridiculously high. Is the record holder among all known comets. This illustrates the environment in which he was formed. Completely different from comets in our solar system. Comets in the solar system are mostly dirty snowballs. A large amount of water ice mixed with dust and other substances. But Atlas is more like a dry ice hockey. Carbon dioxide dominates. This means that it may come from one, colder than our solar system, and the chemical environment is completely different, or it went through something, evolution process that we do not yet understand. And this particular ingredient, it may be one of the reasons why it has a reverse tail. How carbon dioxide gas behaves, it's not the same as water vapor. Under certain conditions, it may have an effect that we do not expect. Speaking of which, there is also a headache for scientists. Atlas is accelerating. Observation data shows the comet accelerates about 4.6 meters per day. That doesn't sound like much. But no, it has been flying in the solar system for months. The cumulative speed change is very considerable. How does this acceleration come about? The standard answer is a comet eruption. When the comet approaches the surface of the sun, the ice sublimates into gas. Spray out. Like a small rocket engine, it will give the comet itself a thrust counterforce, leading to acceleration. This explanation applies to most comets. But for Atlas, some details don't match. According to the observed acceleration, and the mass of the comet is inversely thrust. Calculate the rate of the eruption. You will find that the eruption seems a little too even. Generally, comet eruptions are irregular, sometimes strong, sometimes weak. Acceleration fluctuates accordingly. But the Atlas acceleration is quite stable. It's a bit abnormal to be stable. So some netizens will say, this is not really the spaceship adjusting its course. From a scientific point of view, this is very unlikely. But this is insignificant and does not equal zero. And as long as it's not zero, human imagination can fill all the remaining space. Speaking of which, we have to mention a piece of history. A history full of mystery. August 15, 1977. The Ohio State University, USA. It was a normal night. Jerry H., the operator of the big-eared radio telescope, checking the data printer. Rows of boring numbers. Radio noise from space is recorded. Suddenly, his eyes were drawn to a string of numbers. It was a signal that lasted 72 seconds, 30 times more intensive than background noise. The frequency is exactly 1420 Mhz. Characteristic frequencies of hydrogen atoms. This frequency is protected by international agreements. No device on Earth is allowed to launch. It is to leave a channel for alien civilizations. Jerry excitedly circled the string of numbers with a red pen, wrote a word next to it, wow. This is the famous wow signal. 48 years have passed. This signal. It is still one of the biggest mysteries in the history of science. What is it? It is a beacon of alien civilization. It is some kind of natural phenomena, or the interference on Earth. The most maddening thing is, this signal never appeared again. Astronomers use more advanced equipment, searched countless times in the same sky area. Nothing. He came like a ghost, then disappeared. In 2016, astronomer Antonio Paris proposed an explanation. Maybe that's not alien, but it is a comet. He pointed out that there are two comets, 266 Christensen and P2008Y. Two Gibbs happened to pass by that area in August 1977. Hydrogen cloud around the comet. Radio radiation may have been generated. It happened to be picked up by the big-eared telescope. This explanation seems plausible. Everything makes sense. But there is a problem. The radio radiation of comets is usually diffuse and chaotic. It won't produce that clean. Then the concentrated signal peak. And it was found after the fact. The exact location of those two comets in 1977. There is also controversy. Not all astronomers agree. They really passed by the right sky zone. So the comet hypothesis only solves half of the problem. The other half is still hanging there. Now Atlas. Here you say it will be the signal of 1977. It is not a comet near the Earth at all. Instead, it is an intergalactic visitor. Imagine this scene in 1977. An object from another star system is traveling through the solar system. It may be carrying some kind of device, probably part of a communication system. It may also be a byproduct of the propulsion system. Radiation happened to be emitted at light frequencies. The big-eared telescope captured this signal, but the object is gone. Another interstellar visitor appeared 48 years later, and this time we have better equipment, more observation time. Is there a connection between the two? From a purely rational point of view, there should be none. The universe is huge. There are also many coincidences. But emotionally, don't you think this point in time is a bit too coincidental? The first interstellar object discovered by man was in 2017. It's only been 80 years. In the entire history of astronomical observations before this, we have never confirmed any interstellar visitors. And now, in just a few years, we have found 3. They have always been there. It's just that we couldn't see it before, or we didn't know how to look at it before. So, will the signal of 1977 be a similar situation? An intergalactic traveler passes by. We overheard his voice by chance, but we were at that time. Neither realized his true identity. There is no ability to track him either. Having said so much, I know some viewers will feel you are implying that aliens exist. First stack of fake. I didn't hint at anything. I'm just stating the facts and reasonable conjectures raised by these facts. Let me be clear. There is no conclusive evidence to suggest this. Atlas is a man-made object, or comets make objects. All its characteristics are rare though, but they can all be explained by natural processes. But we don't understand these processes well enough. For example, green light may be a special chemical reaction. The huge size may be due to special conditions of formation. Reverse tails can be optical or electromagnetic effects. Steady acceleration. It may be that the eruption pattern happens to be more regular. Each of them may be reasonable. But when you add all of these possibilities together, we'll find this chain of natural explanations. It started a little shaky. This is not to say that he must be an alien creation. Instead, he said he was special enough. It's so special that we deserve to keep an open mind. There are countless examples of this in the history of science. When pulsars were first discovered, astronomers have also doubted it. It is a signal of an alien civilization. It turned out to be natural radiation from neutron stars. Quasar gamma-ray bursts, fast radio bursts. Each of them was suspected of being an alien technology. In the end, a natural explanation was found. So Atlas. It is likely that it is also just a special comet. That's all. But it is likely not necessarily equal. And there are some questions worth asking. Why do we think alien civilizations will definitely travel in a way that we can understand? Why do we think starship? It must look like something out of a science fiction movie. If there is really a highly developed civilization, their technology, could it have blurred the line between natural and man-made? For example, if a civilization mastered genetic engineering and nanotechnology, they could totally grow a spaceship. Let it grow naturally with organic matter, then integrate the necessary features inside. What will such a ship look like? Most likely like a comet. Or even further, if a civilization can manipulate gravity and space-time, they probably don't need spaceships at all. They can transform themselves into some kind of energy form, or use natural celestial bodies as vehicles. These ideas sound crazy, but on the scale of the universe, Who knows what is normal? How should we view interstellar visitors? Ultimately, Atlas taught us an important lesson. The universe is more lively than we think. For most of human history, we think the solar system is a closed system. Planets, moons, asteroids, comets are all part of our family. They are all spinning in the gravitational embrace of the sun. Occasionally, meteorites hit the Earth, but that's also the internal thing of the solar system. But now we know, interstellar space is not an absolute void. Something travels between stars. Visitors visit our homes from time to time. Comet Omo Borisov, now Itlas. They remind us, the solar system is just in the Milky Way, one of hundreds of billions of star systems. And between these systems, there is a dynamic connection. Maybe at the moment we speak, there are thousands of similar objects in the Milky Way, drifting in interstellar space. Some have traveled for millions of years. Some are just starting their journey. Most of them, it will never be discovered by any civilization, will drift alone in the dark until the end of time. But there are also some happen to pass by some living planet. It happened to be observed by the intelligent creatures there. We are lucky. We live in an era where technology is sufficiently developed to be able to spot these visitors. Push forward another 100 years. Atlas flew past us. We won't even know it exists. As for what it really is, let time answer. NASA's observation program is underway. More data will be released one after another. Maybe in a few months, scientists will announce, that's right, this is a comet. Although special, but it's a comet. Then let's accept this conclusion. Continue looking for the next puzzle. Perhaps some unexplained anomalies will be found. Some evidence that makes existing theories falter. That's when we have to re-examine it. My own understanding of the universe. Either way, the result is wonderful. Because this is the charm of science. Each answer leads to new questions. Every observation can rewrite cognition. Atlas is now flying away from the solar system. The speed is getting faster and faster. Maybe in a few years, he will disappear from the telescope's field of vision, return to the darkness of interstellar space. But the problems he left behind will continue to accompany us. When will the next intergalactic visitor come? Can we do it before he leaves? Send a probe to observe it up close. Will there be a day we are on some interstellar object